In Colossians 3, Paul is addressing the church, and he's been telling them that as people who have come into a relationship with Jesus Christ, as people who are indwelt by the Holy Spirit, that there are things that we're to put off and things that we're to put on. And we've been looking at some of those things that we are to put on, starting in verse 12 of chapter 3 of Colossians. So as those who have been chosen of God, holy and beloved, put on a heart of compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience, bearing with one another. And I want to connect those to the end of verse 12, where he tells us to put on patience, and the beginning of verse 13, where he tells us to bear with one another. Because I think that the concept of patience that we're talking about here is more than just the ability to wait in line without getting angry, more than just the ability to be caught in a lot of traffic without losing our cool. I think the idea of patience that Paul is talking about here has to do with that concept of bearing with one another, putting up with one another, having a long fuse as it relates to our relationships with other people. As we've talked about it in our office at school, we've been surprised over the last year the number of times that we have heard students say that they did something to another student because that other student was being annoying. As if being annoyed gives us carte blanche to do whatever we want, say whatever we want, hurt somebody however we want, because they are being annoying. And the reality of life is that sometimes people are annoying. Sometimes we're annoying. Sometimes the people in our families are annoying, and the people in our church are annoying, and the people in our community are annoying. But when we exhibit that fruit of the Spirit of patience, when we bear with one another, it means that we put up with those annoyances, that we don't lose our temper because someone is being annoying, but that we give grace in those situations. That doesn't mean that we let everybody get away with everything, but it means that when we address those annoying behaviors, that we do that with maybe the word we recently looked at, with gentleness, remembering that these are people of value because they're created in God's image. So today I would kind of encourage us to think about, what's our patience meter like? What is our bearing with one another meter like? Do we kind of go like 0 to 60 in seconds? Are we easily annoyed, frustrated by other people? If that's the case, then we are not displaying the fruit that the Holy Spirit wants to be producing in our lives. So the first step is to pray and to ask God through His Holy Spirit to help us to learn to bear with one another, to help us to learn to exercise patience when we find ourselves in contact with somebody that we find annoying, to help us to remember how patient God is with us, how much He puts up with from us. And then think we make conscious steps, whether that is the old count to 10 before you say something, whether it's removing ourselves from a situation, whether it's even prepping ourselves before we go into a situation. I'm going to be in this situation. I've had a hard time with this person in the past. And again, come back to prayer. Come back to God. Help me in this situation to reflect the character that you want to be developing in me, because it is the character of God. We want to reflect our Father well. We want to represent Him well, as He has given us this new identity of His beloved children. So let's treat one another with patience. Let's bear with one another, even with those who are annoying.